tutorial, we are discussing about the effects of an uncaught exception. So let's discuss about what is uncaught exception. The uncaught exceptions are the exceptions that are not caught by the compiler but automatically caught and handled by the Java built-in exception handler. The Java built-in exception handler are compiled by, or we can say that it will be checked by our JVM, because our JVMs take the responsibility if an error occurs. If we can't provide the exception handler, then the default exception handler that is provided by our JVM can handle those type of exceptions. Java programming language had a very strong exception handling mechanism. It allows us to handle the exception, use the keywords like try, catch, finally, throw and throws. Try, catch, finally, throws and throw. These are the keywords which Java use for exception handling. Let's discuss about what is exception handling in Java. The exception handling in Java is one of the powerful mechanisms to handle the runtime errors so that the normal flow of the application cannot be maintained. What happens, like if we found any exception in our program, on that point of the program, on that point of the code, our program just terminate and get out, and we can't get the required result. So if we use the exception handling, so whenever any exceptions or errors occur, if we caught that exception, then this code will remain untouched and the remaining part of the code will be done or will be executed as per their norms. So let's discuss about the types of Java exceptions. So there are mainly two types of exception, checked and unchecked. Here an error is considered as the unchecked exception. According to the Oracle, there are three types of exceptions: checked exception, unchecked exceptions and error. Let's discuss about these things in detail. Let's discuss about the checked exception. The classes which directly inherit the throwable class except runtime exception and error are known as checked exception. Or we can say that the checked exceptions are those exceptions which we caught during the compile time. For example, IO exception, SQL exception, etc. We can say that the checked exceptions are the exceptions that are checked at compile time. Unchecked exception. The classes which inherit the runtime exceptions are known as unchecked exception. For example, arithmetic exception, null pointer exception, array index out of bound exception, etc. Unchecked exceptions are not checked at compile time because they are checked at runtime. Those type of exceptions which occurs during the runtime of a program are known as unchecked exception. These exceptions are mostly like the arithmetic exception which occurs during the divide by zero. Let's discuss about the error. Error are irrecoverable, that is out of memory error, virtual machine error or any assertion error which we can't recover. That thing is known as error. So let's discuss about what is the result of an uncaught exception. If we cannot caught the exception, then what happens? In general, if a program does not caught an exception, then it will be caught by the JVM. The trouble is that the JVM's default exception handler terminates execution and display a stack tracks and a error message. So what happens when we can't caught the exception, or we can't put the appropriate handler to handle that type of exception, then by default JVM will put their exception handler, and that exception handler will just stop the continuation of our program. And once the exception occurred, it throws where the exception error and all the messages, including the where the exception comes from and what type of exception and in which line the exception error occurred. So these are the things which is the result when an uncaught exception occurs. These are the things which we discuss in our uncaught exceptions. Thank you.